Hello, and you're watching TV9 News, and I'm your host Deepak. Now, in a very controversial decision, the Cyber Cell of the Ministry of Home Affairs has rolled out a new program where the citizens can participate as volunteers to flag and report to the government about legal and also unlawful content. And the unlawful content includes child pornography, rape, terrorism, radicalization, and mainly anti-national activities or contents. Now, this plan of the government is being touted as a pilot project for Jammu and Kashmir and Tripura. So, the responses to this project will decide whether or not to calibrate this program of the Ministry of Home Affairs. So, now you might wonder what happens under this particular project. So, under this pilot project, the Ministry of Home Affairs Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center will act as a nodal point, and the volunteers can register themselves with their respective states or union territories to be cyber volunteers. So what should you do if you want to become a cyber volunteer? The volunteers will be required to furnish personal details including name, father's name, mobile number, and also their email address, although these will not be verified separately according to a document seeking registration from the volunteers. So what are the protocols that the volunteers will have to follow? Well, the Ministry of Home Affairs directive on the registration portal says that the volunteers shall maintain strict confidentiality of the task assigned or carried out by him or her. It's not just the volunteers, but the nodal officer of the states and union territories also reserves the right to legal action against the volunteer in case of a violation of terms and conditions of the cyber volunteer program. But does the government have a legal framework to identify such elements on social media? Well, the answer to this question is a no. The government is yet to constitute a legal framework to decide whether or not an activity or a content falls under the anti-national category. And usually the government uses provisions under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act or detain or jail those accused of anti-national activities. But the question here is that there is already a cyber cell constituted by the central government. Can there be another special group? Let's ask a Supreme Court advocate to tell us more about this. So, Mr. Sanket M. Yanagi, is it legal to have another set of cyber volunteers when there is already a cyber cell? And also, Mr. Yanagi, wouldn't this project restrict the freedom of speech of people who are trying to express their own political views?
There was absolutely no reason wanted or warranted by the central government, and I'm not finding any nexus of the reasoning by the central government at this stage or at this move. But it would only, according to the central government, would be an additional task or additional platform. But I'm not sure as to how this platform would really bring in the culprits, since there are already several platforms. So, in my opinion, it is unnecessary move. Chances of misusing of this platform are more, and the central government has to revisit this move.
Now, another question that haunts one and all is whether this particular program would restrict the freedom of speech of the people. Now, I spoke to the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, Dr. C. N. Ashwath Narayan, and here is what he had to say about this program.
Sir, basically, the Ministry of Home Affairs has now is now setting up a program called Cyber Volunteers.
Okay.
So basically, what happens is they're going to depute volunteers who will be monitoring social media content. And then what these volunteers would do is they would flag off or report certain posts which they claim as anti-nationals.
Okay.
So I just wanted to ask you, sir, whether this would, restrict a person's freedom of speech when it comes to expressing his political views.
No, you see, whatever, as per the law and constitution, whatever is permissible is permissible. Whatever is not permissible is not permissible. What is not permissible needs to be, looked into it. So volunteers, wherever they can look into it and report it to the concerned ministry or the concerned department, it's a good program.
Sir, my last question to you is, sir, basically, suppose my neighbor is probably not a BJP supporter, but he puts out a tweet condemning the farm laws. Would that be termed as anti-national?
No, why? See, this is his right, no?
Correct.
When they have been allowed to protest, they are allowed to express.
Correct.
How can it be that? It is not that, sir.
So you're saying this
Basically, much more than that. Much more than that.
Okay.
Whatever people are doing, against whatever is not permissible in the law.
Okay.
Whatever they're trying to support, any external mechanism, anything external also needs to be looked at. That's all.
Well, do drop in your opinions in the comment section below, and also do not forget to like, share and subscribe to TV9 News on various social media platforms. Many thanks for watching.